Well, Happy New Day, CSA. How feels each and every one of you this wonderful, lovely new day? How feels wonderful, beautiful, handsome, enlightened, and fantastically prosperous and healthy you this wonderful, lovely new day? Why? None of you has had breakfast this morning because we get ready. Or is the storm last week's or last Monday's storm which has kept you muffled? Well, I welcome you with so much love to today's lesson sermon. What I will say is that we must all give praise and thanks to God for at least making sure that we are able to have service today. But the havoc the rain caused last Monday would have made it virtually impossible for us to have service today if we had not had some people from the neighborhood and some CSA gentlemen to come and help with the cleanup since Tuesday till yesterday. A lot of work has been done. And I thank those of you who were able to make it here to help with the rehabilitation. You see, whenever you see something happening to other people, don't you ever say, oh, it is them, I'm not included. Because environment is sometimes stronger than will. You know, all the heavy rains that we have had before last Monday's, not a single drop of water entered CSA. And we were always like, oh, we raised our building. But when it rains for 9 hours, water always finds its level. And it found its level, and it was almost halfway by the watermark on our front door. Halfway. It went, it came, even, some of the water came from the window too. Some of the water came from the windows in here. And it was like a disaster zone. But looking at the havoc it wreaked along this neighborhood, this place, no water came here. Honestly. The first house on the right, when you're coming, the first house on the right, all the people living on the ground floor, they couldn't take one thing. Everything spoiled. But that's for another day. We have a lesson sermon to give. Our topic for today is how you can use the technique of creative imagination to make your dreams come true. Yesterday, when the backhoe was here working on the road, I stood outside and our friend Sam Lai, the guy whose house is straight down, came and stood by me, and he said to me that last week, Saturday's program that we had, the theme was in sync with a new book that he has written. And we're standing there and we started talking about football, about Black Stars loss. And I said to them, you see, we had strikers who couldn't even find a goal to shoot the ball there. They couldn't even find a goal because all of them had become defenders. And so it makes it difficult for them to reach the post. You know, our strikers, our main striker was Jordan Ayew. There was no strike. All the 4 games that we played, he never even kicked the ball towards the goalkeeper. And I was telling them that, you see, when I was playing coach, one of the things that they taught us, I didn't know it was creative imagination then. When we go on for training, like I was made to master corner kicks. They would ask me, before you kick the ball, where do you want the ball to go to? You forget about the goalkeeper catching it, but where exactly do you want the ball to go to? And before you kick, you say, oh, I want to go to the first pole or the last pole. And they say, where? On the last pole or the first pole? And you say, and they will say, okay, kick it. And you do it. And when you kick and you fail, they will tell you, if you were on the field, you will say that when we were going to kick the ball, you saw a crocodile or a lion coming at you when you have missed the ball. Always don't find excuses after a mistake. Just do it until you get it right. And later on, I found out that basketball players in America, they use creative imagination. In the afternoons when they are free, they just lie down and they see themselves, throwing the ball into the hoop and scoring. And sometimes it looks as if, even with their eyes closed, they can throw the ball into the hoop. Yeah. You see, when you train your brain, and when you train your brain to do something, it happens. And we all influence our brain. And so when you influence your brain to do a thing, it will do it well. And they say that the issues of life come from the heart. So before we do anything, we must imagine it. We must be clear in our imagination that it is already done. Jesus said, whatsoever things you desire, when you pray, believe that you have received them and you shall have them. He didn't say believe that you will receive them. He said believe that you have received it already and you shall have it. And so we say imagination begets the event. Imagination gives birth to the event. And we must not fail in this. When God was creating the world, after he had created man, he created desire in man. And how did he create the desire? He showed man all the creatures that he had made. And man saw that every male had a female, but where is man? And then, the desire said, even hippopotamus have been given a partner. What about me? And so God took his desire and made a woman for him. You see. But with us, we have been given free will. Free will. And so we must be responsible for whatever happens to us. You understand? God has given us the ability to imagine freely. And so whatever we imagine comes to pass. You may say, oh, but And as for this thing there, Mentiasie, how is it that I'm good always and then people pay me with bad? Do you think that the world is filled, there are bad people in the world? If you think that there are bad people in the world, well, bad people will be attracted to you. If you think the world is full of good people will be attracted to you. If you feel that money, if you have, I put a post on WhatsApp by Reverend Ike, and he says that if you hate the rich people, you'll never be one of us. And the way he said it made me laugh. He sees himself as a rich man. And so he says, if you hate rich people, you will never be one of us. Ghana, we have a system which tries to bring rich people down. And when a person does not have the ability to do something and you give it to him, he'll mess it up. Recently, I heard that the owner of Zoom Lion was not paying his workers well, and the work he was doing, some mistakes were found, and so the contract was taken from him and it was given to the district assemblies. Now, since when the district assemblies start collecting bola, and where would they put the bola? The district assemblies gave the bola to the Abubuya people. How many Abubuyas will make one dumpster? And so the district assemblies couldn't do the job. And they had gone to do some mouth that they could do the job, and the government gave it to them. Now they can do the job. And so just about 3 days ago, the president had to go and beg Zoom Lion to come back. Because, look, let me tell you, Zoom Lion has invested, and he is not only cleaning Ghana, he's cleaning Kenya, he's cleaning Nigeria and other African countries. At least 9 African countries besides Ghana. He's cleaning those places. And it took a flood to realize that the people we have given the thing to, we should, because nowadays, someone said that the rubbish that you see on the streets, in the water that people pour in the water, the rubbish was in their homes because no one had come to take the bola away. But now let's get back to our habits and creative imagination. I shared with you that your environment is an extension of yourself. But they say you become your environment. You become your environment. If you are a dirty person inside, around you, you create dirt. And it all comes from your imagination, how you value cleanliness. Our habits. Imagination is so powerful that if we don't learn how to harness our imagination well, the things it will create for us. If you are looking for your bonsam, it could be your negative imagination. Because you accepted bonsam, you get bonsam. I was talking to them and I told them that when Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, you put a ball down for them to shoot a free kick, half of the time you shout goal. Lionel Messi has scored some free kicks during this World Cup. They all use their imagination. They see themselves kicking and then the ball going into the net. And their subconscious impressions, which are strong, normally make a move and they are able to score. But if you meet someone like the Capo Verde goalkeeper, he's also there, like Benjamin Asare. Maybe he also sees himself catching the ball. So whatever you shoot, he will catch. So when your imagination gets stronger at one point, you can score. But I want to tell you that imagination creates everything. And so we must be careful about how we use our imagination. Now, when I was at CSA Lakemont, Roy taught us, before he even mentioned that, next week I will teach creative imagination, he taught us how to move our attention from one state to the other. He said, look, you live in so many states. You can live in Lagos, you can live in Abuja, you can live in Cameroon, to Ghana, to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, to Togo, to Benin, all in 20 seconds. And he said that Paramahansa Yoganandaji also taught them, says when you are sitting down, just start to move your attention. Now, I'm in a state of sorrow. When you are in a state of sorrow, what do? You push it to joy. And then when you are in a state of poverty, they say, let the weak say, I'm strong. Let the poor say, I'm rich. Then you push it to prosperity. When you are sick, you push it to health. And we did that. And then one day, when one lesson that he was teaching us on creative imagination, he said, look, he had gone to learn creative imagination. And as a young minister, one day he saw that he had one shoe left. One pair of shoes left. And his feet were almost on the ground. So he went to a shop, they were having a sale, and he had to buy some shoes. He said he was in so much hurry to buy a shoe. You see, the sense of lack had taken over. He said he picked the shoes and he found that, and the shoe, it was a sale. You cannot return it. You cannot exchange it. As is. He picked the shoe and it was the same foot too. Now you can wear the same foot too on your 2 feet. And so he lost his money too. You see, he was telling us about, we saw him as someone who never makes a mistake. But he was showing us mistakes that he did when he was like us. You understand? And how he got out of it. He said he saw Paramahansa Yogananda ride Cadillac. He changed it every year. And so, and Paramahansa Yogananda's Cadillac was blue-black. So he also decided to get a Cadillac, like a master. And he decided he was not going to get the same Cadillac, but he would get a white one. So he went to lie down to visualize, to imagine, and imagined a white Cadillac parked in front of the apartment building he was in. He said that week he saw 3 white Cadillacs, but none of them belonged to him. He said he imagined that white Cadillac was there, and the imagination came true, but he didn't imagine that it was his Cadillac. So he said, when you imagine, claim it, be in it, be. And that is how I got my understanding of believe, be and live in the atmosphere of your wish fulfilled. Live in it, be, be. Be conscious that you are involved, you are living in your dream. And so, those things thought, you think that it will stick. Sometimes when I experience some negative things in my life, I go back and I check my thoughts and everything, and I found out that I'm responsible for them. I either caused or allowed it, and so I keep my mouth shut. Now, God made a deep sleep to fall on Adam. And he said, from his rib, he picked up one of the ribs. But you see, the ribs, they lie on our heart. And so, what is on your heart? For all the issues in your life come from the heart. From your heart comes all the issues of life. To issue is to bring out, Issue. When they say they issue a passport to you, they bring out a passport to you. So, the desire in your heart has been created because God is involved. God was involved in creating the desire in Adam's heart for Eve. And so when Adam saw Eve, he said, you are bones of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one there, and so we were taught, go and lie down or sit in a chair and relax. And you already know what you want. So it is not now that you are going to know what you want. Just relax and relax. And in between the waking and sleep state, just let the waking state become almost nil. And then when you are getting into the sleep state, you create in your mind's eye your wish fulfilled. And me, I have a few friends that I trust most. I have them telling me, hey, Charlie, I'm happy that this has happened to you or this is happening to you. And I thank them and I say, oh, it's God's will. And I thank God. And then I fall asleep in the wish fulfilled. Now, when I wake up, if the opposite is still prevailing, I say, But when you plant a seed, it's not like mushroom that grows overnight. The seed is still, working. When you plant a seed, it takes so many days before you see the sign that it is out. And that is how life is. You plant in secret and it manifests openly. And so, let your imagination be a secret. Because your Father who seeth in secret will reward you openly, they say. Scripture tells us that. And let the tree come out by itself. You see, A tree grows in two ways. You know that? A tree, it grows in two ways. It grows down first before it comes out. It goes down to be held by the earth. It goes down to connect with its origin, and then it comes out. And so, nurture your wish fulfilled within. That is why, after you imagine creatively, you must use affirmations like maybe the time we were building this place. This morning, I saw a film, I saw a video of us 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we were up here, Isaac, Mr. Jaka, the late Auntie Florence, and Chief. They were all on this floor with me, and I was telling them downstairs where we'll put the toilets and where we'll put the office and guest room, because at that time we had built the ground floor already. We were meeting in the ground floor, but we were here, and I was telling them, oh, in 2 weeks, everything will go up. See, I was telling them, but it was also an exercise for me to know that the thing is completed. Because the more of us thinking that way, the earlier it will also come to fruition. When I ask you to participate in anything, it is my way of getting group consciousness to make the thing happen on time and in divine order. And so, when you clearly imagine know that there are many states, and we are travelers. We are on a journey on this planet, and whatever state you will go to, you can get to. You understand? It is possible for you to be in all states, because superconsciously you are in all states. But it takes your subconscious, what you plant, to get you a state that you will be, a state that you identify with and you will also express in. There are many people in Ghana who feel they don't belong to Ghana. When they go away from Ghana, they don't come back. And there are those, wherever they will go to, they will come to Ghana. And so I'm asking of you, guard your imagination as a treasure you don't want anyone to take from you. And no one can take it from you too. You only can take it from yourself. The how-to has been shown, but the maintenance of that state depends on you. You can make imagination look like wishful thinking. There are times when you wish you were a millionaire. But if you really want to be a millionaire, you know how to think. You know how to live. One woman we call Auntie Lizzie, her shop was next to my mother's shop. She came into my mother's shop one day and she told my dad, Papa, won't see TV? Me dress it is any me quiet for. My dad said, yeah, I see you sometimes, and I wonder, I said, those are the days I don't have money at all. And the reason why I do that is that I dress up like a rich person so that I convince myself I'm rich, and others also get convinced that I'm rich, and money starts flowing to me. See, I didn't know that time they were all talking about imagination. Though. We all have ways of using our imagination. You see the woman with the issue of blood? Eh? She said, if I can but touch the hem of his garment. He knew Jesus could heal, but she created her own healing mode. He said, if I can but touch the hem of his garment. And she mustered courage and touched the hem of his garment. Was she healed? Yes, she was healed. Yesterday, Mr. Lai was telling me that he puts a material on the table and then he starts looking at the material and then he sees the defects and the positives and how to shape the material and everything. And he was asking me, is it also part of creative imagination? I said, before you cut it, were you not doing something in your mind that will happen on the table? He said, yeah. I said, well, you are using creative imagination without knowing it. But now that I have, said it, you use it more consciously. You see? And so no matter what is happening, just switch your mind to the opposite mode. If you don't like what is happening, switch your attention to the opposite mode. Because we live in a world of pair of opposites. We have good and bad. They said seed time and harvest shall never cease. There's seed time and there is harvest time. There's a time to sleep and a time to be awake. If you find yourself in a sleep state, they say, awaken thou that sleepest and rise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. When you awaken to your Christ nature, you shine on every state and it becomes alive. And so be and live in the thought atmosphere of your wish fulfilled. Act in it. Act in your imagination. Know that you are alive. You are giving life to your imagination, and it shall come to pass. I hope that today's lesson on creative imagination will awaken that aspect of you which knows that through Christ you can do all things. And through your Christ nature, you can do all things. Know that as a child of God, God has given each and every one of us free will. He has given us the ability to imagine freely. That is something that was not taken from anyone. And as you imagine, so shall it be. That is why Jesus always told the people he healed, your faith has made you whole. Your faith has made you whole. And your imagination will bring your wholeness into manifestation. Namaste.